You have to admit, children are prone to making some pretty dumb mistakes when they're young. Whether they stick a fork in a power outlet, touch a burning hot skillet, we've all been dumb and young at some point in our lives. However, sometimes kids have been harshly punished for the stupidest things. In fact, a child from Maryland was recently punished simply for eating a Pop-Tart at school. That's right, a Pop-Tart. Today, we will be taking a look at 10 of the stupidest reasons why kids were suspended from school. But before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button and ring the notification bell, or you will get suspended just for watching this video. Well, better safe than sorry. Number 10. Miami Heat haircut. Alright, this story comes from Florida, so you know it's going to be a good one. A school counselor was recently questioned after this was caught shaving the head of a young student. An 11-year-old boy came to school one day with a new haircut. He had shaved the Miami Heat logo onto the side of his head in support of his favorite team. His friends likely loved the design, but the boy was labeled as a distraction to fellow students and was forcibly removed from the classroom. The parents of the child were called to the school, where it was explained to them that all the staff had fears that the haircut could potentially induce gang-related violence toward their son. The parents hesitantly agreed to take care of the haircut, though by the time they arrived, a counselor had already begun to shave their child's head without permission. No one knows if the counselor faced any sort of legal ramifications for this decision, but it is safe to say that the parents were not happy when they arrived at school and found that their little boy was now bald and very upset. Number 9. Back in 2014, a young girl was attending 3rd grade at a charter school when she found out that her best friend had lost all of her hair while fighting cancer. In support of her friend, the little girl asked her parents to shave her head so that the two of them would match. The parents agreed, and the girl went to school the following day with no hair. However, her parents were immediately called to the school to pick the girl up because she had allegedly violated the school dress code by shaving her head. Apparently, the handbook restricted head shaving for female students, though this was perfectly acceptable for male students. The local community went berserk after the media caught wind of this decision, and the school was eventually coerced to change their ruling, though they only made an exception for this one case. The school allegedly still does not allow head shaving for any other female students. Number 8. A New Jersey 7th grader was suspended from school after he took the cap of a pen and attached it to the top of a pencil. He then spun the pencil around in his fingers, like we have all done in the past, while minding his own business. However, a student who was a short distance away called out the young man for supposedly making gun noises while spinning his pencil. The boy was then sent to the principal's office and suspended for a deed that he never even committed. The boy denied ever making the noises and denied having any malicious intent. The school ordered that the young man could not return to school until he had been evaluated by a psychologist. He was taken to a mental health professional and almost immediately was cleared of any wrongdoing or mental health issues. Oh, I wonder, who would have guessed? Number 7. It's not uncommon for young children to think that their teachers are attractive and develop crushes on them.
In my office.
Okay, awesome. So I'm totally in. How do you want to do it? Because I made sex before, lots of ways.
This is particularly common in young boys, as their hormones are constantly raging and out of control. This was true for a 10-year-old boy who told a friend that he thought their teacher was cute. The teacher overheard the boy and reported him to the principal for sexual harassment. What? He was then suspended for 2 days, causing a massive uproar in the local media. The school was investigated and eventually issued a public apology for their decision. The principal, who issued the punishment, immediately retired after the allegations had been settled. What a mess. I mean, come on. Number 6. A young girl in elementary school was commonly afflicted with chapped lips. Her lips would constantly dry and would occasionally crack and bleed as a result. So, to combat this, she often carried around chapstick. However, the school had banned the use of chapstick and warned the girl that if she continued to bring it, she would be suspended. Instead of giving in, the girl petitioned the issue and gathered student and faculty signatures in an attempt to appeal the decision before the school board. She won the case, and she is now allowed to freely bring chapstick to school. Number 5. An 8th grade student in Texas was suspended after school after he potentially saved a young girl's life. The students were not allowed to leave their classrooms for any reason during class, but a young girl informed her teacher that she was having an asthma attack. The teacher refused to let the girl visit the nurse, so the girl sat back down. She later lost her ability to breathe and passed out, falling onto the floor. A young man then stood up and proudly shouted, "F that," and picked the girl up. He carried her to the nurse where she was treated for her condition. The school then suspended the hero for disobeying a teacher's direct orders. Our only question is why none of the other students had the nerve to speak up. Number 4. A student who was involved in special education classes was permanently expelled from the district after his teacher found a maple leaf in his bag. She believed that the leaf was from an illegal plant and sent him to the principal, who agreed and expelled the boy. Come on, people, really? The case made it to court and the boy was charged for his supposed crime. It took months for the boy's parents to convince the courts that this was just a misunderstanding, and the ruling was finally overturned. However, the school stood their ground and would not let him return to class. He now attends classes at a different district. Number 3. A teenage Eagle Scout in New York was suspended for 20 days from school after a student told faculty members that he had a knife in his car. The knife that he had in his car? Yeah, that turned out to be a 2-inch pocket knife that had been gifted to him by his grandfather. It is the motto of the Eagle Scouts to always be prepared for anything, so the boy kept his knife close by. However, the school has a zero-tolerance policy for weapons, even if they are locked in your vehicle. The school stood their ground, and even though the boy's grandfather was the chief of police, he was not allowed to return to school until his sentence had been served. Number 2. A teenager from Texas took a homemade clock to school to get input from his teacher. The clock was a project that he had been working on for quite some time, as he was an aspiring engineer. The teacher reported the boy to the principal, thinking that the clock was a bomb, and the boy was suspended. Police were called, though he was not charged. After his case gained nationwide attention, he was invited by President Obama to bring his clock to the White House, but his suspension from school was never overturned. A simple misunderstanding from a teacher nearly cost this boy his chances at a decent education. Number 1. The gun-shaped Pop-Tart. Alright, it should be obvious by this point that making any sort of threat while at school is a very serious crime. Countless cases involving schools have ended in tragedy over the years, so police and school officials do not take threats or jokes about violence lightly, and rightfully so, makes sense. However, this case is a truly bizarre one, because this child allegedly did not threaten to commit violence or do anything wrong at all. According to most online reports, a 7-year-old boy from Maryland was recently suspended from school after he chewed a Pop-Tart in class. Yep, you heard that correctly. He chewed a Pop-Tart toaster pastry in class and was suspended. According to the boy's teacher, this young man had been struggling with behavior issues for most of the school year. She claims that the boy had been acting out in class and towards his friends for many months, and that he was considered to be a problem child. Now, while children certainly need to learn to take responsibility for their actions, this particular instance seems to have been uncalled for. The boy brought a Pop-Tart to class to eat as a snack. While he was eating the pastry, he took bites off of it in a way that made the Pop-Tart resemble the shape of a toy gun. No one knows if this was intentional or if it was just a mere coincidence, but it seems as though the young boy played into the occasion and began to play with his Pop-Tart as if it were a real gun. The details of the situation are a bit unclear, but we can assume that the young man was likely pretending to shoot his friends with his jelly-filled bullets. So the teacher then intervened. She sent the boy to the principal's office and he was promptly suspended from school. When his parents found out about the suspension, they became incredibly angry. They contacted the school and demanded that the ruling be reversed, but the principal was unwilling to change his decision. The parents then took the school to court over the case, claiming that the child was simply playing and that he had caused no harm to himself, staff, or any other classmates. The teacher assured the parents that the Pop-Tart incident was not the sole reason that the boy was being suspended. Rather, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. She She mentioned how the boy had been acting out for much of the school year and was increasingly difficult to control. The parents still insist that the child was singled out as a result of the teacher's anger and the principal's unwillingness to work with the child. The results of the court case are unknown, but let us know in the comments if you feel that this boy should have been so harshly punished for this so-called crime.